The story of Tamar, King David's daughter, is one of the most tragic and deeply unsettling narratives in the Bible, found in 2 Samuel 13. Often overshadowed by other stories in the life of David, Tamar's tale exposes the darker side of human behavior, familial dysfunction, and the devastating effects of unchecked power. This account, while rarely given the focus it deserves, is a powerful and sobering reminder of the consequences of sin, the failure of leadership, and the enduring pain of injustice. Tamar's story is not only a personal tragedy but also a reflection of systemic issues within David's household, making it a cautionary tale for all. Tamar is introduced in the Bible as a beautiful and virtuous young woman, the daughter of King David and the sister of Absalom. Her life, however, takes a harrowing turn when her half-brother Amnon becomes infatuated with her. Amnon's obsession is not rooted in love but in lust, a consuming desire that blinds him to morality and decency. His feelings for Tamar are described in terms of torment, revealing the unhealthy and selfish nature of his attraction. Amnon's struggle with his desires sets the stage for the tragedy that follows. Amnon confides in his cousin Jonadab, a cunning and manipulative figure who devises a plan to help Amnon fulfill his lust. Jonadab suggests that Amnon pretend to be ill and requests Tamar to come and prepare food for him. This deceitful scheme highlights not only Jonadab's lack of moral integrity, but also the toxic environment within David's court, where manipulation and selfish ambition seem to thrive. Amnon eagerly follows Jonadab's advice, feigning illness and asking his father, David, to send Tamar to attend to him. David, perhaps unaware of the danger or blinded by his affection for his children, agrees to Amnon's request. This decision, while seemingly innocent, demonstrates a lack of discernment on David's part. It also underscores a recurring theme in the story, the failure of those in power to protect the vulnerable. David's acquiescence inadvertently places Tamar in harm's way, setting the stage for the traumatic events that unfold. When Tamar arrives at Amnon's quarters, she acts with kindness and care, preparing food for her brother as instructed. However, Amnon's intentions are far from innocent. After dismissing his servants to create privacy, he attempts to force himself on Tamar. Tamar, horrified by his actions, pleads with him to reconsider. She appeals to his sense of morality, reminding him of the disgrace and dishonor such an act would bring upon them both. She even offers a desperate suggestion, proposing that he speak to the king and seek permission to marry her, though such a union would have been against Mosaic law. Her plea is a testament to her strength and resourcefulness in the face of danger, but it falls on deaf ears. Amnon, driven by his uncontrollable lust, overpowers Tamar and rapes her. The aftermath of this horrific act is equally devastating. Amnon's lust turns to hatred, and he cruelly casts Tamar out of his presence. Tamar, now desolate and humiliated, pleads with Amnon not to send her away, as this act of rejection compounds the harm already done to her. But Amnon's cruelty knows no bounds, and he orders his servant to throw her out and lock the door behind her. This act of expulsion is symbolic of Tamar's complete dehumanization. She is treated not as a person, but as an object discarded once her usefulness has ended. Tamar's response to her ordeal is one of profound grief and mourning. She tears her ornate robe, a symbol of her status as a virgin daughter of the king, and places ashes on her head. These outward expressions of sorrow reflect the depth of her inner pain and the societal stigma she now faces. Tamar's dignity has been shattered, and her future prospects, particularly in the context of ancient Israelite culture, are irreparably damaged. She retreats to the home of her brother Absalom, who takes her in and becomes her protector. However, Tamar's life as described in the Bible effectively ends here. She lives in Absalom's house, described as desolate, a poignant reminder of the enduring consequences of Amnon's crime. Absalom, Tamar's full brother, reacts to the news of her violation with anger and hatred toward Amnon. However, he advises Tamar to remain silent, a reflection of the complex family dynamics and societal pressures of the time. Absalom's advice to Tamar to hold her peace may have been intended to protect her from further shame, but it also highlights the silencing of victims in a patriarchal society. Absalom harbors his rage, waiting for the opportune moment to exact revenge. King David, upon learning of Tamar's violation, is described as being very angry, but he takes no action against Amnon. This inaction is one of the most troubling aspects of the story. As both a father and a king, David had the responsibility to seek justice for Tamar and hold Amnon accountable. His failure to act may be attributed to a variety of factors: his own moral failings, including his earlier sin with Bathsheba, his favoritism toward Amnon as his firstborn, or his inability to confront the dysfunction within his family. Whatever the reason, David's passivity allows the injustice to fester, leaving Tamar without justice and Absalom consumed by a desire for vengeance. 2 years after Tamar's assault, Absalom takes matters into his own hands. He orchestrates a plot to kill Amnon during a feast, exacting revenge for his sister's suffering. While Absalom's actions bring a form of retribution, they also plunge David's household into further turmoil. The murder of Amnon leads to Absalom's estrangement from his father and sets off a chain of events that ultimately culminates in Absalom's rebellion against David. Tamar's tragedy, therefore, becomes the catalyst for a series of conflicts that tear David's family apart and threaten the stability of his kingdom. The story of Tamar is a harrowing reminder of the destructive power of sin and the far-reaching consequences of injustice. It exposes the failure of those in positions of authority to protect the vulnerable and hold wrongdoers accountable. David's inaction, Amnon's unchecked desires, and Jonadab's manipulative counsel all contribute to Tamar's suffering and the subsequent unraveling of David's household. Tamar herself is a poignant figure, a victim of both personal and systemic failure, whose voice is silenced and whose life is forever altered. This narrative also sheds light on broader societal issues, including the treatment of women, the misuse of power, and the dynamics of familial relationships. Tamar's story is not merely a tale of individual wrongdoing, but a reflection of a society in which the vulnerable are often overlooked and justice is delayed or denied. The silencing of Tamar and the lack of accountability for Amnon mirror the experiences of many victims of abuse throughout history and into the present day. Despite its grim themes, Tamar's story carries important lessons. It challenges readers to confront uncomfortable truths about human behavior, leadership, and justice. It calls for greater accountability, compassion, and advocacy for the vulnerable. Tamar's voice, though silenced in her time, continues to resonate as a call to action against injustice and a reminder of the need for a more equitable and compassionate world. In conclusion, The Untold Scandal of Tamar is a tragic yet profoundly important story that forces us to grapple with the realities of sin, power, and justice. It is a narrative that demands attention not only for its historical and theological significance, but also for its enduring relevance to issues of abuse, accountability, and the pursuit of justice in every age. Tamar's story is a somber reminder of the cost of silence and inaction, and a testament to the resilience of those who suffer in the face of unspeakable wrongs.